Welcome to the Cornbread and Kool-Aid podcast. My name is Demetrius. With me, as always, the super producer extraordinaire, Mr. Mike Ward. We hope you enjoy the show today. It's one of my favorite shows, obviously, around the NFL draft. We're doing our post-draft. We dropped one a few days ago, last week, pre-draft. I made some predictions, gave some thoughts. It was a little different, but we hope you enjoy it. If you do, there's ways to let me know. You can on Facebook, on Twitter. You can send me. I got the Twitter feed up. If you guys want to drop me messages, I'll talk about them during the broadcast. I do have one that I want to mention that I got from the pre-draft podcast that I thought was interesting. But we hope you like the show. I'm going to get on. Obviously, today is pretty straightforward, right? We're going to talk about the guys they picked. I'm going to talk a little strategy. I got to figure out how we all got it so wrong on a couple of players because it's a weird thing. It's this lesson in what we think we know versus what we actually know. And I am not. This is not bashing, say, sports talk radio or even national guys, because I'm included. Because even if you go back and listen last week, you know, we all fell for the banana in the tailpipe. We really did. So first, I'm gonna give a quick plug though. I'm gonna do another podcast this week. I'm gonna do one Thursday. We're gonna do something a little different, and I'm gonna be joined by evangelist Richard Lane of Richard Lane Ministries. He obviously is a minister, but he is also the son of Dick Night Train Lane. And if you don't know who Night Train Lane is, you should look him up. He's a former Lion, so it's Jermaine, and he's one of the greatest Lions of all. Yeah, you know what? Night Train might be one of the greatest players of all time. I might even. I think I knew he was great. I've always been a fan of his. And then getting to know Richard, I looked him up, and it blew my mind. It blew my mind. So there'll be we'll do it's going to be a little bit of yucking it up because Richard and I are friends now, and I get to call him Rev because his friends get to call him Rev. So Richard and I are going to do a little something Thursday, so you can look for something on Thursday. If you're an old head like me and you know who Dick Night Train Lane is, you're interested in Dick Night Train Lane, or just want to hear about him, or you between now and then you Google him. So we're gonna certainly talk football. We might venture off talk music or movies or something like that. But I just thought it'd be fun to do something a little different. Still Lions focused, still really, really rooted in long time cornbread eating Lion fan. You might be surprised how good Dick Night Train Lane was. And I thought it'd be cool to get Richard on, talk about his dad as a player, as a person. I think it'll be fun. So feel free. When Thursday afternoon, you can look for that. I would say early evening, afternoon, early evening. But I want to mention a guy who hit me up on Twitter. His name's Adam. And Adam, if you happen to check out this one or listen to this one, that'd be awesome. I love it. Thanks for listening. I didn't want to mispronounce your last name, so I'm just going with Adam. But Adam got me thinking because I've always and said many times that as a Lions fan, there's different, right? It's a spectrum. You got guy who's way over here who just bashes them and says, "I'm Lions free. I don't care anymore." I don't trust that person, right? I don't think that's a real guy. I think that's just something somebody says as a way to process what it's like being a Lions fan. And there are times when it's tough. And then you got guys who are way on the other side who no matter what they do or what they say, they just love their Lions. And contrary to popular belief, I'm not actually that guy. I am a little bit inside of that guy because I think I bring some logic and reasoning, but I absolutely eat Lions cornbread at a very high volume, and I wash it down with Honolulu Blue Kool-Aid. I'm unapologetic about that. That being said, there's a guy I consider myself the protagonist of this podcast, and so my arch nemesis, my Riddler, my Lex Luthor is a guy called Dumbass Dan. And if you listen frequently, you're like, oh, here we go. I'm not going to do a whole long thing. I just want to set this up. You all know a Dumbass Dan, right? You know a Dumbass Dan. I won't do the whole thing. But I read a couple of tweets, and I got some good dumbass Dan tweets about the draft because I did this whole thing about patience, right? They told us this was going to be a long process. We knew it. And then people are freaking out and wanting them to do all this crazy stuff. And it's not even that crazy because I don't think they need Debo. Turns out they made a call and tried to get Debo, which was never going to satisfy dumbass Dan anyway. But I get this tweet from Adam, and he gave me a thumbs up on the podcast, which I appreciate. And then he said, let's not forget that it's the Lions and they'll always be the Lions. And he says, all bullshit talk aside, real talk. So I marinated on it for a minute. And so my initial reaction was immediately like, oh man, this is another dumbass Dan tweet. But then I really kind of thought through it. I thought, he's not. He's not. This is the guy I don't talk about enough, and I should talk about more because he's not a dumbass Dan. He's actually closer to me. He represents what I think is the largest group of fans of the Detroit Lions, right? Not quite as cornbread eaty as me, right? I will just wolf down cornbread. My closet is half blue and silver. I drink the Kool-Aid. I'm unapologetic. The dumbass Dans actually are not the majority. They're the dudes who call the radio station every day. So they're the dudes you kind of hear the most. I think Adam is a Lions fan who truly cares about the football team, who wants them to win, but he's just been burned so many times. He's just been burned so many times. And he it's his team, right? He wouldn't have listened to my podcast, and I think he might have listened. He wouldn't care what I was talking about. He's a fan, but it's hard. I don't act like it's hard because for me it's not. I know who I am. But I hope guys like Adam enjoy the podcast. I can probably irritate guys like Adam sometimes. I hope not, but I think it's important. Oh, somebody just hit me up somewhere. I just heard a noise. So I hope you enjoy it. And if you are somebody like Adam, feel free. Send me something on Twitter. Tell me how it can be better. I'm open to feedback. I know who I am. I want to do some different stuff, like talking to Richard Lane on Thursday, and I want to do some different stuff over the summer. We're gonna do Hard Knocks for sure, right? We're on Hard Knocks. We're gonna do that for sure. But today is about the draft, right? Today's about the draft. So yeah, so I got a tweet from a guy who's listening right now. Oh man. Now I'm not derailing. So he says he's a proud dumbass Dan. He thinks that people like me not holding the team accountable, which is both all caps and quoted. Sorry. I'm the reason the Lions will never win anything. I am the reason, me. I'm the reason the Lions will never win anything because I don't quote unquote all caps hold them accountable. Now, here's the thing, and I'm not going to derail it. I'm going to get back, I swear. I'm proud of the dude for recognizing he's a dumbass Dan. I almost respect him for saying it. Except dumbass Dan doesn't know what it's like to be dumbass. He doesn't truly realize he's dumbass Dan. He probably wears that with a badge of honor. The way it's typed, I think he's proud that he's a dumbass Dan. All right, I got to get off that. Uh, okay. Okay, Jeff. All right, have a nice day. All right, so we're going to talk about the draft. That's what we're going to talk about today. So the thing people always say, oh, the draft is a Lions Super Bowl. That used to annoy me. It used to really irritate me, right? Because it's meant to be an insult. You'll never win a Super Bowl. You don't win enough big games to warrant talking about the Super Bowl. And it used to bother me as a Lions fan. Now I think, you know what? Draft weekend is everybody's Super Bowl. Nobody loses on draft weekend. In a normal football season, every week half the teams lose. I mean, there's ties and that kind of stuff. But for the most part, every weekend, half the teams lose. There's a fan base that has to deal with a loss. Oftentimes, it's us, right? We never lose on draft weekend. No matter what the picks are, whether you like them or not, it is almost always, maybe not so much the Matt Millen era or the Bob Quinn era. Okay, I want to retract this whole thought process now. Generally, generally speaking, you're a better team on Saturday night than you were on Thursday afternoon. That's why the draft is appealing. That's why fans go and they dress up and they do stuff. In general, you're going to add 3, 4, 6, 8, some teams 10 players that in theory your team is better after the draft than they were before the draft. That's why it's popular. That's why we eat it up. That's why it's literally my favorite event of the year, right? And it often falls around my birthday. And I had more people, almost as many people, text me, hope the draft goes well, than I got happy birthdays. Uh, that's that's amazing. That's how well people know me. They know what's happening. They know what I'm doing. They're respectful, and I appreciate them for it. But I had almost as many. How'd they do? Hope they did well. Did you like the draft? What do you think about their choices? I got almost as many of those as I did happy birthdays, which is hilarious. But we're gonna go through, and so I don't have any real structure today, right? Sometimes I try and have some structure. I think it makes it interesting. But this today is simple. We're going to go through those players. I'll tell you what I think of the player. I'll tell you what I think of the strategy, where they fit the scheme, what it means. A couple guys I do want to talk about afterwards, though. Malik Willis, N'Kobe Dean. Earlier, I said we all fell for the banana in the tailpipe. And those of you might, what does that mean? I am included in this group. There was conversation, and I'll get to that later. There was conversation about these guys going in the first round. There was conversation about there was a point in time where N'Kobe Dean was mocked in the top 10, right? So Malik Willis was mocked at 6 to Carolina like 3 weeks ago. How did we all get it so wrong? And I don't know if you are listening, like live listening, or later you want to tweet at me. I'll talk about it Thursday. I guess I could. But if you're happen to be live listening and and you did not believe it, you did not think you thought Malik Willis and N'Kobe Dean would go in the 80s. You're better than me. I don't know who you are. I didn't see anything like that, but I'm going to talk a little bit about that later. I have some thoughts on why it happened. So let's go through the picks. Um, so all in all, the overall deal, I've seen mostly B and B plus. I haven't seen any A's, but I haven't seen a B minus or C. It's been consistent. I checked 6, 7 sources. The overall grade for what they did has consistently been around the B plus area. I'm not objective, but I don't have to. It's my podcast. I liked it a lot, and I'm going to tell you why. So I'm not just going to go, oh, cornbread and Kool-Aid. I love the draft. Nope, nope. You're not going to like the first part based on the tweets I got from last week. This is going to take time. So for those of you who are mad, they're telling you again. They told you again. They consistently have told you this is going to take time. So if you didn't like Hutch, and I didn't dislike Hutch, if I had the choice, I would have taken Kayvon Thibodeau. I made that known. I didn't have some massive gap between Hutch and Thibodeau. I actually thought Hutch would be gone. I didn't think Jacksonville was actually going to take Trayvon Walker, but they did. And so at that point, my thought was, if you watch college football, Aiden Hutchinson will help this football team in an area they need help with. They were amongst the bottom 2 or 3 in quarterback pressures. This is going to help. Aiden Hutchinson, you'll get the cynics, right? And I don't know what to do about the cynics who say, oh, it was a safe pick. It was an easy pick. It was a good pick. I'm sorry. The second one wasn't that hard. I'd listed 4 or 5 guys I would have just been fine with. I would have been fine with Thibodeau. I would have been fine with Jermaine Johnson. I would have warmed up to Kyle Hamilton. Maybe. At 2, I don't need to discuss a lot of 2. I didn't think they could mess up 2. I don't think they messed up 2. I thought 2 was easy. The fun came later, right? Because we talked about options at 32 and 34. We talked about trading up. We talked about it. And I heard people last week on the radio say they need to be aggressive and be different than they've been. Go up and get a game changer. And Brad Holmes likes that word, game changer. He thinks that Aiden Hutchinson is a game changer based on what I saw. And I don't know. None of us know, by the way. I think I think he will be. I think he will be. I think what they're doing up front is, again, They're being incredibly consistent. I don't know why I appreciate it so much, but I do. They have consistently told us what they're doing. And there are some of us that listen and others that don't. There are some of us that said, okay, we get it. When a train takes off from a station, it doesn't take off full speed. It starts slow and it picks up steam. This isn't fun. This isn't sexy. I get it. I get it. But what I respect and appreciate is from the day Sheila fired Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia, she has been consistent in her words, and their actions have been consistent with what she said that day, 2 days after Thanksgiving in 2020. They have been consistent. You don't have to agree with it. I'm fine if you go, I just don't agree with the 5-year rebuild. Then you should just find another team because they gave Dan Campbell a 6-year contract. They gave Brad Holmes a 5-year contract. They did that for a reason so that these guys could make deliberate, patient decisions. And now, a year and a half in, you guys think they're close. And I saw a guy on a podcast today, a local guy who's done radio, he's done TV, he's respected. But hot take theater is, hey, you're a team that can make the playoffs next year. You got to do this. You can't take a guy with a torn ACL. Bullshit. Bullshit. Jameson Williams was the best receiver in this draft. And if he's not injured, he's not even on the board at 5. If he's not injured, we're thinking about him at 2. He was the best receiver, and you got him at 12. Talk about the ACL all you want. I've seen reports that he can be back for camp. I don't care if he doesn't play till Thanksgiving. I told my brothers, first game shouldn't be the Thanksgiving. I don't care because it's a long play. This is a long play. This is not about how many games we win next year. If you are thinking about, focused on, or demanding some number of wins next year, you're not paying attention. No, you might be paying attention. You just don't like it, and that's fine. I'm not gonna disparage you. I believe that trading of 32 and 34 to get up to 12 to get the guy. And I read an article today. They've been working on this for months. They've been thinking about this for months, right? When he went down, the notion came to them he could be available later, and they knew they had 32 and 34. And this thought process happened months ago, where it's like, what if that dude, the dude who, if he's not hurt, is the first receiver off the board? What if that dude, the dude who, when healthy, probably runs something with numbers 4.2 at the beginning, 4.2 something. That's how good he is. And you know what you don't have? Take the top off the defense receiver. You don't have a receiver that the defensive coordinator has to think about on Wednesday afternoon. You didn't. You didn't until Thursday. When you can get a superstar, and guys, look, there's only 3 ways to do it, right? You trade, which is going to cost you capital. You sign a free agent, which is going to cost you capital in the form of money. And if you have the money and the guy is willing to come, you can do that. If you have the capital and another team is willing to trade you a superstar, you do that. The third way and the best way, yes, my brother who says they're cheap, who says I'm cheap, right? When it relates to football, the best way is to draft them. And you just got, by all accounts, the best pass rusher in the draft. And we can debate Walker, Thibodeau, many people. I would have a significant number of people on my side who would say we just got the best pass rusher and the best receiver in the draft. Full stop. After 2 picks, I deemed it a successful draft. I wanted to see what happened at 46. As soon as I heard the trade, my immediate thought was, wait, they must have forgot to tell us something because this is a fleecing because of the player. For the Lions to be able to just give up 32, 34, and 66 and get back 46. So 66 is a third, might have that wrong. Third, early third, 46 is a late second. So you really give up 32 and 34 and move up spots to get back into the second. And I was thinking, wait, they're going to get Jameson Williams right here. They just fleeced Minnesota. Maybe I'm missing something. I don't know. But then you had all those people calling saying, what if Nakobe Dean and Malik Willis are on the board at 32 and 34? Guess what? What if Malik Willis and Kobe Dean are on the board at 82 and 84 because they were? One of them might have went at 83. We missed that. I'll get to that later. I like the aggression of saying that's a guy we want. Let's go get him. This is why you traded Stafford, right? And I understand qualitative versus quantitative. I get it. But I think you just added two game changers to your team, one on each side of the ball. I think you addressed your biggest, most glaring weakness. I think you just added another unit on your team that is borderline elite. I think everybody healthy, you have a borderline elite offensive line. Ragnow's a Pro Bowler. Decker's at worst good to pretty good. Penei Sewell's going to be good. I think you have probably a top 7 or 8 offensive line in the league this year. Health being the only thing, right? I think with the third round selection of Joshua Pascal, who by all accounts sounds like an even better person than he is a football player. And I know there's a bunch of you guys that don't care what kind of person he is. It doesn't matter. Guess what? He's a hell of a football player. You added 2 defensive ends to Romeo and Julian and Brockers and Onzarike and Aleem McNeil. You may have just given yourself a borderline elite defensive line. So does it surprise you that Dan Campbell, Professor Kneecaps, that dude, we know who that dude is now, has put focus on that this team, with Chris Spielman in that room, this team has decided we're going to do everything we can to be elite on the offensive line and the defensive line. You don't have to agree with the strategy. It's not surprising. It's consistent with everything they've said and done since the day Sheila took over. That's what I like. If the plan turns out to not work, because sometimes they don't, Bob Quinn had a plan. His plan was to transform us into New England Midwest. That's how he drafted. That's how he signed free agents. That's the coach he went and got. It didn't work. Doesn't make Bob Quinn an idiot. Doesn't make him a bad guy. Doesn't even make Matt. Nah, I'm not doing that. It didn't work. It didn't work. At the end of the day, they have been consistent. I like the idea that they had a business strategy. And Sheila articulated it on her very first Zoom call, and they have been consistent. All of you people who go same old Lions, you know how I feel about you. You're wrong. There's nothing about the way Sheila's done this that is remotely similar to what her dad did or what her mom did. It's just not. I've done that podcast. I'll do it again. It's not. She's doing things in a specific and unique way. Doesn't mean it's going to work. I don't want to hear SOL. I don't want to hear that. So I struggled with what Adam said, but to a degree, I think Adam didn't drop the classics. Adam didn't say SOL. He didn't say forward sell the team. He didn't talk about a curse. He didn't do any of that stuff. So he's definitely not a dumbass Dan. I think he's a guy who loves this football team, would like him to win, but he's been burned. And he's a cynic. He's a degree of a cynic, which has nothing to do with anything other than he's a Lions fan. That's what I know. He's a Lions fan. So Hutchinson at 2. Easy, simple. Just write the man's name down. You're going to be fine. Jameson Williams, I am of the opinion you got the best receiver in the draft. You got one of the top 4 or 5 players in the draft. You got a player that's transformational to what you do. He just made DeAndre Swift better. He just made Hawkinson better. He made St. Brown and DJ Chark better, and he damn sure made Jared Goff better. Just did. And when he shows up, he shows up. The fact that they didn't get scared off by the injury goes back to my point about they know they have time. They're trying to do this right no matter how long it takes. I think Detroit's about to fall in love with Joshua Pascal. I think he's about to be, as Will Smith put it in one of the Men in Blacks, probably the third one, the new hotness. I think that's about to be the new hotness. The kid is smart. The kid presents well. He's a heck of a football player. I think we're about to fall in love with that kid. Kirby Joseph, I think we need help at safety. I think we need depth there. I think they want to move Will Harris to some kind of hybrid, maybe slot corner. They dilly-dally with that a little bit last year. I like the tight end pick. Another pick of a guy who was hurt. Screaming, we don't have a burning platform. We're going to take a really good player who, when he gets healthy, can give us another dimension. He allows you now to put 2 pass catching tight ends on the field. He allows you to have dual threats with this receiver you've added with DJ Chark. I'm Amon-Ra St. Brown, weapons for Jared Goff, which a lot of people hate. Oh, get weapons for the quarterback. Duh. Yeah, you get weapons for your quarterback. I am unapologetically still in the Goff camp. I don't know that Goff isn't a good quarterback yet. I think now excuses are out. If Jameson Williams is there the bulk of the season and healthy, yeah, Jared Goff, there's no excuses, which is great because we got 2 picks next year. And if it turns out I'm wrong, solve that problem next year easy, because I accept that this is a long-term plan. Rodriguez is a Malcolm Rodriguez is a linebacker out of Oklahoma State who, by all accounts, does a couple things really, really well. One of them is tackle, right? So you're telling me you drafted a linebacker in the 6th round who's really good at tackling. I hear special teams, potential developmental project who can one day be an inside linebacker, because we're going to play more 3-4, and you're going to have guys standing up on the outside. Pascal might stand up. Romeo, these outside guys will be standing up. And you need inside linebackers who can shoot gaps and can tackle. And I love the idea of we drafted a linebacker who's a really good tackler. That doesn't bother me. Not at all. So I like that. The whole idea of James Houston, who's got some interesting off the field stuff that you can look up. I won't go into. Small school guy. I love it that an HBCU guy gets drafted. He's a backer out of Jackson State, and he has a shot at special teams. He has a shot to get on the field in certain packages. I think the same thing with Chase Lucas, the 7th round pick out of Arizona State, the cornerback. I don't ever predict like, oh, all these guys will make the roster. I have no idea. They got to come in and perform. They still have to do their work. There's a place for Kirby Joseph on this roster. There's definitely a place for James Mitchell on the first 3 out, obvious. I think Detroit's about to fall in love with Joshua Pascal. I'm just saying that one more time. The first 3 are easy. So I started with the 3rd round pick in '97, Kirby Joseph. There's a place there. We don't have a lot of depth at safety. We brought back Tracy Walker. We signed Deshaun Elliott. Yep. So there's a place. There's a place at safety. So did I love it? Is there anything I didn't like? I wouldn't have minded another running back. I just don't think you're gonna have enough to get hurt. And I love Swift. I love Jamal Williams. I like Craig Reynolds. I think Jefferson. I like the room. I don't think you can ever have enough running backs. I might have liked them to take a shot at a back. But at the end of the day, I like the draft. Do I love it? I'm close to loving it, but I'm not objective, so that doesn't mean anything. I am around the B plus A minus on the draft. We don't know, right? But I like the deliberate nature that Brad Holmes makes decisions. I like what they're doing. It's consistent, and I like it. It screams we have a plan and we're sticking to it, and I respect that. I like that. I have seen too many people in the past not do that. Even though Bob Quinn stuck to his plan as the Titanic went down and he was on the deck playing a violin, great. I just don't see that. I think the Stafford trade allowed them to get some talent. I think they're a much better football team right now than they were Thursday. And I think they're a significantly better team than they were the day Brad Holmes took the job. They're just a more talented team. Aiden Hutchinson is really good. Pascal and Hutchinson together with what they already had is going to give them a dimension on defense, which is the ability to put pressure on the quarterback. And they didn't have that. I think Jameson Williams gives them something we've all screamed for, and it's going to allow us to truly evaluate Jared Goff. So I'm fine with the B plus A minus type effort on the draft, grade on the draft. I think that the draft is always good. The draft's always a win. They're a better team than they were Thursday, and that's why it's awesome. You know that going in, unless they just absolutely boot the thing and make a really dumb pick or a really dumb trade. But I think from a maneuvering standpoint, we should appreciate the message that they sent in trading up to go get Jameson Williams. we should really appreciate taking 2 edge rushers and 3 picks. It screams we do not want to be in the bottom 5 in terms of quarterback pressure. We understand that that will help us win football games. That will make our corners better. That'll make our linebackers better. That'll make our football team better. When you see that and you understand what they're trying to do, even if you don't agree with it, right? You have to at least say, I get what they're trying to do. So, like to me, this, summary is I think they got the best, probably the best defensive player in the draft, but certainly the best, in my opinion, the best edge rusher in the draft at 2, and they got the best receiver in the draft at 12. Right? There's a risk with taking a guy coming off an ACL tear, trading up for him, giving up capital, but not for the injury. That's a top 7-8 guy, best receiver in the draft. I think Pascal and Joseph are both solid players and they're going to contribute, right? The long-term message and aggression at the same time. I think that's the thing I'm liking. Trading up to go get a guy you love is aggressive, but then taking a guy who might only play half the season speaks to we still have a plan. So I mean, all in all, I like what they did. I'm borderline loving it. I really feel like if you get something from a James Houston, if you get James Mitchell back healthy and he adds a dynamic and allows you to do some 2 tight end stuff, we might 3 years from now love this draft without question. God forbid Kirby Joseph evolves in this. Because I'm not worried about the top 3. I'm really not. I think the top 3 are going to be really good players in this league. If 2 of those other 5 guys step up and you have 5 contributing players out of this draft 2 years from now, you're going to love this draft. So, yeah, okay, so let's talk a little bit about how we got it wrong piece, because I'm still struggling a couple of days later. So I'll start with Malik Willis because, like I said, I saw a mock Thursday morning had Malik Willis going 6 to Carolina. I saw a mock a week and a half ago that had him going to us at 2. They said we were going to take Malik Willis at 2. Many of them had him going to Pittsburgh at 20. Pittsburgh took Kenny Pickett. Then it got weird as we started going, and you go through round 2 and nobody touches him. Nobody touches him. Desmond Ridder goes to Atlanta, a team that needs a quarterback, ahead of him at 74. And it's like, what is happening? I was watching this and I'm looking on Twitter going, what happened? Did somebody release a picture of him with a bong mask? And if you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. It's a draft reference from 5-6 years ago. But apparently, doing a little research, what this really is the offense that he played in college at Liberty is coached by a guy named Hugh Freeze. Hugh Freeze used to coach Ole Miss, and they ran this very wide open spread type of offense. And by all accounts, NFL scouts think it's too simplistic, and it does not put him in a position to adapt to pro style offenses quickly or well. Right? No concerns about his character or his maturity. If you heard anything about that, I saw nothing. I looked for it. I tried to find. I said, I need to know what happened here. And by all accounts, it was simply they didn't believe that success in the offense he played in college would automatically translate to success in the NFL. Right? This was like it was a wide open kind of style, and it's just not common in the NFL. He doesn't even get under center. He's taking all shotgun snaps, little stuff like that. And reading the field from under center and in different formations is a big deal in the league. So I don't think there's anything wrong with the kid. I don't think he did anything wrong. By all accounts, what happened was we fell for the okie doke from all the outside people, and all 32 teams appeared. Well, not all 32. The reality is all 32 teams didn't need a quarterback. The handful of teams that really needed a quarterback, and I don't consider us one of them, had concerns about the style of play from college and how it would translate to the pros. So that's the story on Malik Willis. Philly might be a great. What Philly? No, sorry, Tennessee. Tennessee might be a great fit for him. There's no rush. He can learn and probably fit in very well at the end of the day. So it might end up being the best thing that happened to him. The Kobe Dean is the one where kind of blows my mind, right? This was a guy. There were early season last year mock drafts near the end of the season where people thought this guy was the heart of the defense at Georgia, a defense that had no a team that might have had 15 players. I feel like 15 players was drafted from one team. Might have been close to a record. I didn't see if they got it. I don't think it was the record, but he was mocked top 10 for months. There were mock drafts that had the Lions taking him at 2. Uh, so then what happened, right? The reality was he tore his pec muscle. No, he did tear it. A pec strain. He strained his pectoral muscle while training, and so then he like didn't run. He wasn't working out. That freaked teams out. But most importantly, he decided not to have surgery. So he just couldn't. They couldn't see him, and that makes it tough for a team to decide where they want to put you on the board and how they don't know. Medicals are just the automatic deal breaker red flags. If teams have question about your medicals, yeah, they run away from that. Too much money. This is too much money involved to be committing that kind of money when you got medical questions, right? Eventually, Philly took him 83rd, but I think everything I'm hearing, he's small. People didn't love his size or lack of size. 5'11", if I'm not mistaken. The rumors about he was slow could not be changed because he couldn't run. I mean, I don't know why he couldn't run with his pec strain, but I guess that's a whole nother story. He didn't run. He could have put those rumors to bed by just going out running a crazy 40, and then people wouldn't have given a damn about his pec muscle. But they did. They cared about it. It mattered. He dropped to 83. And I only say dropped because people who consider themselves experts, people who call them, people have been doing this for years, people who've been doing it for days, all across the board. We're on the radio. We're posting their mocks. Mocks 16.0. Nakobe Dean was never on the board at 83. Nakobe Dean may have dropped into the 30s on some people's boards, but this fall was shocking. This fall surprised everybody. Um, I think I was on Nakobe Dean, but I've always consistently said the Lions have a team of scouts that do this for a living. They know more. They know way more than all of us. So the mock drafting is great. It's fun. I'll do them next year. Um, but at the end of the day, if every team in the league passes on a guy multiple times, and this guy's a linebacker from the national championship team, there's a reason. At some point, you knew there was a reason. Well, at some point, you recognize and acknowledge there's a reason. You're still surprised. You still wonder. But there comes a point in time in this process where you go, something's going on with Nakobe Dean. And for me, it was, I don't know, mid of the second round. I thought, he's still on the board. And then when the Lions passed on him to take Joshua Pascal, I said, okay, something's going down with Nakobe Dean because and at that time I did not recognize how good Joshua Pascal was. So there's your update. Went by quick. So my grade, if that matters to people, um, if I weren't a cornbread eater, I'd go B plus, but because I do, and I got a picture of blue Kool-Aid, I'm giving them an A minus. That is due largely because I believe Mitchell is going to come in healthy and contribute. I believe Joshua Pascal is going to be a excellent contributor, and we're going to love him as a guy and a player. And I believe there's a place for Kirby Joseph. So I am immediately at a point where 5 of these guys are going to play. I don't know how you can call a draft bad if you got 5 dudes that are going to play. I don't. James Houston might play special teams packages. He and Rodriguez might both play special teams. And if you end up with 6 of these guys on your roster, and 5 of them are like legitimate rotation players, it does speak to the fact that you were 3-13-1 last year and completely devoid of not completely, heavily devoid of talent. But it also speaks to these are good football players. So we won't really be able to judge this until later. I think that James Mitchell is going to be the Amon-Ra St. Brown of this draft class, in my opinion. 5th round, he's going to play. He's going to play well. That's my bold prediction. So, A minus on the grade for me. The cornbread grade is A minus. I want to thank you for watching. Few people popped in live. For those of you who didn't and you catch this later, I hope you enjoy it. Twitter, right there at the bottom of the screen. Feel free anytime you want. Drop a note. I'm listening. I'm waiting for them. Other than than our friend Jeff, aka Dumbass Dan. Um, that's cool. I hope you enjoyed the show. I did it. Remember, dropping a special pod this Thursday with evangelist Richard Lane, son of Dick Night Train Lane. We're gonna have a good time talking about his dad and how great a football player he was and some of his exploits and a little bit about Richard and what he does. So I hope you feel like joining. Should be some fun. Appreciate you stopping in. Uh, and again, hope you enjoyed it. So take care. Go Lions.